Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, last episode we got our seed oil production up and online, and as you can see behind us, that's powering a bunch of blaze burners and giving us basically unlimited fuel for our furnace. That means that boiler is going full power, and now we can power all of the machines we ever could want in our base. So today we're also going to use that seed oil to start deep frying up some ingredients, and that'll help us complete another swath of our quests in this pack. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. Now, at the end of last episode, we got our slicer set up and we started slicing ingredients here. We started cutting up some corn into corn kernels, and also we cut up some onions. We're getting straw as a side product of the corn production here, but now we have a bunch of corn kernels. Now, the corn kernels have a pretty important goal here in life. We're going to use that to make ourselves up a whole bunch here of our corn flour. So we're going to drop that into our millstone here. I don't remember if we can pipe out through the side or not from the millstone. Let's go ahead and try this real quick. I thought you could only pipe out from the front, but this should tell us, first things first, we do not want to connect that. Actually, we do want to connect that. We do definitely want to connect that. Let's pull out of here. Yeah, that's pulling that out. Let's pull out of here as well. And now we also want to be able to insert into these. So let's go ahead and set ourselves up. You know what? We can just use like regular hoppers for these. It's not a big deal. Just like that. And let's put some chests on top here. That's going to give us our first little bit of automation. I'm going to drop the rest of our corn kernels in here, and this will then slowly become corn flour. Now, the first stack of corn flour that we get in here, I'm going to put back into this machine because we're going to use that to make up our corn starch. Corn starch is another important ingredient for deep frying. Any of you all who fry a bunch of southern food probably know how important cornstarch is. So we're going to drop this back into our system, and that's going to make cornstarch when it comes back through. So that should give us the flour that we need here, both for the cornstarch, as I mentioned, and also we're going to use it by mixing it with water to make some tortillas. So those are going to go into our basin here with some water, and that's going to happen in just a few minutes. We're going to get to that in a second. You know, while we're at it, we can go make up a bit more of our wheat flour since we have so much wheat on hand here. Let's go ahead and grab that out of our wheat supply from our automated farm that we'd set up here. We have, way too much wheat flour. That's going to be plenty for all of our needs for the foreseeable future, and we'll just throw that in here. It'll get to it when it gets to it. Great. Now, I'm doing this a little bit out of order because I want to make sure that we get all of the ingredients we're going to need here, but I do want to call attention to the fact that one of the things we need to make is some fried fish. Now, we don't have actual fish here because we are using tofish, and that means we need to get some kelp. So let's go ahead and set up a very quick kelp farm so we can get that kelp, and then we can take that kelp and we're going to use the bulk smoker to smoke it. Buy up a little bit of kelp, just one piece of that, and we're going to use this to start a kelp farm, just enough to make up all of that tofu that we are going to lovely have cooked up in a second here. So let me go down to the deepest part of the water here, and we're just going to do a manual kelp farm. Just to start, there we go. We're going to grow a bunch of kelp here, and try not to drown. Now, I'm not going to do an automated kelp farm this time around just because we don't use that much kelp in this pack, especially since we can already buy up all of our various, I'm about to drown, all of our belts instead of having to make them by hand. So I am just going to go ahead and get myself up, let's say about 2 stacks of kelp, and that should be enough for at least the immediate recipes that we have on our radar here. All right, so that is more than enough of our kelp, and now I want to draw your attention to these neat little devices that I made in between episodes. If you look down here, you'll actually see that there is a campfire at the bottom here and that bucket of lava we bought 2 episodes ago at the bottom here. Underneath each of those is a fan, and I've wired that in through the ground off of our main power network here. Now on top of that, I've just got a trap door, and I've got some rails on the side, and then there's a little tiny brass bars right there on top of each of those items. So if we can get in here at a good angle, we should be able to throw all of those ingredients into the bottom of that where they will start to smoke up and hopefully not burn to death. So that should stay right in there until those are smoked. So we just need to hang out here for a second and wait for that to finish. And there we go. Now we have our smoked kelp that we can then grab up. Oops, dried kelp, and only set ourselves on fire a little bit. Wonderful. So I can't find a great block to be able to block this nicely that it doesn't sometimes fall in, but generally most tosses get it right there on the bars and it'll sit right on top of them and not fall into the lava or into the campfire. So that works pretty well for us. If you all know a better block to put on top of here that is still semi-transparent, please let me know in the comment section below so that I can use that instead. So now that we have our dried kelp, we can go and take a stack of our tofu here and we can put this in our slicer. So once this gets sliced up, that will be a lovely, lovely amount of tofu slices. That's going real fast for us, friends, that we can combine with our dried kelp, and that will give us our tofish that we are going to be using for the rest of these recipes. There we go. There's our tofu slices. Combine that here, dried kelp, and now we have tofish. Wonderful. Now with that, we can now make our breaded fish. We just need our wheat flour and our cornstarch put together here. So let's grab wheat flour, and also our cornstarch is slowly starting to come in here any minute. And once that's done, we will put these together any second. Actually, let's go ahead and start another batch of cornstarch while we are at it. Alright, so now we have our cornstarch. We are going to grab up our wheat flour as well, and we're going to put all of these into our crafting grid, and that's going to make our breaded fish, and we are going to be able to deep fry that. We probably want to deep fry in batches here, so let's see here. We need to do the same thing for our onion. That does mean that we need to get a little bit more of our wheat here. So we'll start with 2 more stacks of wheat into our processing here. So that's going to make a little bit more wheat flour that we can then use here for our other cut onions to start being ready to fry that up. Now, just to show the frying process, I'm going to go ahead and start making some of this. Oh, and it looks like I've got some leftover water in here. We can pull that back out just by breaking it. Let's dump a bucket of seed oil in here. Alright, so we're going to feed some charcoal to the blaze burner so it'll start heating up that oil for us, and now we should be able to put the breaded fish right in there to have it start cooking. I'm going to go ahead and do the thing I've normally done, which is grabbing the first piece that comes out, using that to lock our recipe so that it doesn't get confused later, and we can keep adding seed oil to this bucket once it starts boiling down. And you can see here it's using 125 millibuckets of seed oil per item, so that's a pretty good deal on our part. 1 and there. Let's add that back in, and we do have all of this seed oil that we brought over last episode. For those of you who aren't aware, the functional storage drawers, you actually left click to pull buckets out instead of right clicking like you do with most normal tanks and other mods. So just be aware of that. If you think you can't get it out, you can left click instead. And we are going to finish frying up the rest of this fish, and then we're going to get started on the onions. Actually, it occurs to me there is a faster way to do this. We are just going to go ahead and put our actual seed oil box, let's put it right here, and we are then going to wire this up with pipes. The easiest way to do this is to make sure that we do not connect it to the wrong pipe by doing that with it. And then this pipe will go here, and now we're just going to start pulling out from that tank. So this will stay full of our seed oil. The only thing we need to remember is to keep feeding our blaze burner underneath. Now, eventually I can run fluid pipes all the way over from our our seed oil supply back underground down to these burners and give them straws so they never run out of seed oil. But for right now, charcoal is easier because we're not constantly cooking. We only want to give them actual food when we know that we want to cook something with them. And so these blazes, in the meantime, we shouldn't put anything in there. So if I had seed oil going into it, it would just be burning seed oil and not giving us any benefit. So this is the way that we want to do this for now instead, just a little at a time with our charcoal. All right, so that's coming along nicely. Actually, while we wait, I think we can go ahead and grab up the rest of our cornstarch, the rest of our wheat flour, and I think now we can use that with our onion to make, where did those go? Into the wrong slot. Okay, we can use those to make our breaded onion that we can then deep fry. So that's coming along, a little bit longer on those. And the last thing I'll do here, I think we're going to take our corn flour and put them into this basin. And then we're going to grab up some buckets of water here. We're just going to grab that from here and put that in there. That's going to make our corn dough, which also is a very important recipe for us. So let me go ahead and grab this out once that's done. Just like that. Put the corn dough recipe on here to lock it, just so it knows what it's doing, and then put the rest of the corn flour back in there. And we'll keep feeding water to this so that we can make up a full stack of corn dough. Now that corn dough, we are then going to be rolling out, let's see here, here we go, no, where's the recipe? In the rolling mill to make a raw tortilla. The raw tortilla we then can cook. We're going to do campfire cooking or bulk blasting. Probably bulk blasting is the way to go. And then those tortillas we can use to make wraps, but more importantly, we can also use those and fry them to make a fried tortilla. And that fried tortilla, we cut it up first. We're going to use the cutting board or our slicer for that, and then we can cut that up and use those bits to make tortilla pieces. The tortilla pieces we then fry. That's right, order of operations here. So that's how we're going to make tortilla chips eventually. That's going to take us a little while, but we will get there. Okay, so our fried fish is now done. I'm going to go ahead and drop our onions into here, so that can be the next thing that's getting started being fried. We just need to feed our burner a little bit. There we go, and this should then start up momentarily. All right, we need to change the filter out before we can do anything else here. Let's clear the filter. There we go. That's why that's not working. Now we put the onion in. Perfect. Okay, have at. That should work great for us. How are we on oil? We've got plenty of oil, plenty of frying going on. All right, corn dough is complete over here. We also have our blooming onion is complete. That actually closes off a quest for us and completes it, our blooming onion. So now we are still moving our way down the fried line here. So let's go back over to our meals and we can sell off our wonderful appetizer, one set of blooming onions. Only 2 copper coins. It's an appetizer, so it's appetizer prices, maybe even happy hour prices at that price. So we can get back to that in a second. Now we have the fried fish. What we're missing is the chips to go with it, or fries as we have it called here in America. So to make some fries, we need to get some sliced potatoes, and that means we need to cut our potatoes twice. So let's see if we have a stack of potatoes. We do. We are going to throw this into our slicer real quick, and that should make quick work of our potatoes. Once we run it through the first time, we get cut potatoes. There we go. And we'll take a stack of cut potatoes. We're going to put that back in here so that when it's done, we end up with our sliced potatoes as well. And it looks like those are both going into the same basin. Whatever, it's fine. It shouldn't hurt anything. We should still get the same recipe back out. Somewhere in here, we will end up with our sliced potatoes. Okay, cut potatoes, and there's our sliced potatoes slowly coming in. These are what we are going to use to get French fries. All right, there's one stack of our sliced potatoes now done. We are going to go ahead and fry these up in our fry oil. There we go, just like that, and very soon we will have some chips to go with our wonderful, wonderful fried fish. And so we can make fish and chips. So that should be the next item here in our line. After that, we are going to be having onto our chips and salsa. So salsa is a little bit more complicated. For this, we are going to need to go get our chili peppers and also some green peppers in addition to making some chili powder, which we make from grinding up roasted chilies. So let's see here. Do we have any chilies? We do. So let's see here. Do we smoke these or do we bulk blast them? We blast them. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw them on here, and that will roast our chilies for us here. You can see I did throw it correctly that time. It did not fall between the cracks, and so that should turn into roasted chili peppers for us any minute now. Just waiting another second here. Side note, these are another one of the custom items that I put into this pack. Drew them myself and added them in there because I love spicy food and I wanted to have them as an option here. So that's why these are in here, along with the green peppers as well. Although not spicy, still important for a lot of the sorts of recipes here. So now we can take our roasted chilies, throw them into our millstone, and that will turn into chili powder. Okay, great. So that'll go for a while for us. I picked up some more corn along the way. Let's go ahead and get that slicing because we are going to need that sooner rather than later. And oh, it looks like our fries are almost done. Only a few more minutes probably on this batch of fries. Let's just keep our fire going just to be safe here. 21 more. Okay, any minute now. Great. Alright, so there's our chili powder coming in. While our chili powder is doing its thing, let's go ahead and head over to our farm and get ourselves some more peppers so that we're ready for the salsa. I'm also going to grab up a stack of tomatoes, which we are also going to need for our salsa, and probably some onions would be a good idea as well. I think we're starting to run short on onions. Cut green peppers, cut tomato, cut onion, cut chili peppers. So all of these things need to be cut up. We may as well just dump them all into our chopper and let them come back out the other end. Okay, great. All right, so all of that is getting to chopping, and now we are ready to throw our corn dough into our rolling mill, and that will start making our tortillas for us. So there we go, tortillas coming in, and we will be ready to use those as well. How are our fries doing? Oh, we have a full stack of fries, and now I'm going to teach you the very advanced recipe of making fish and chips. We take fish and we put them with chips, and then we have fish and chips. Wonderful. All right, so that completes the second quest of summer, and we can now sell those down here in our shop, and we get 11 copper coins for that. Not too shabby, not too shabby. And of course, our avocado toast is still coming in, so that's still our primary source of income. So we're starting to build back up all of the money that we had spent last episode setting up our various machines. Now we are back on tortilla duty, so let's see how we're looking here. I think that should be the last of our raw tortillas. This still has a lot of ingredients to cut, so it's slowly but surely working its way through that. While that's doing it, we could use that for our tortillas as well, but we may as well just cut a few by hand here. Oh, that isn't right. We need to cook these first, and then those we can cut up once and then refry them. That's how this works. Okay, no problem. And do we smoke these, or do we? No, we bulk blast them. All right, so let's go ahead and throw them into here. That will toast up for us real quick. So then we'll have our cooked tortillas. Just 1 second here. And there we go. Now we have our tortillas. We can put these into our offhand, and now we can cut these up. That's going to give us our tortilla slices. Those tortilla slices, of course, we can then use to make our tortilla chips. And it looks like, did I do a 4-to-1 recipe on that? Oh yeah, I did a 4-to-1 recipe. So we're gonna have way too many tortilla chips. That's fine. I think we make chips and guacamole later on, so that's gonna be good to have around just in case anyway. And here goes the last of these. There. Okay, so way too many tortilla pieces. Let's go ahead and put a bunch in here, and we're just gonna grab one stack up. Then we're going to take these and we will drop these in our deep fryer. So there we go there. Throw this here. And now we're deep frying our tortilla pieces into chips. Let's just check that, make sure it's working properly. Oh, we are almost full up. Let's clear out a little bit here. But yes, we have tortilla chips now. Great. Okay, so now we have all of our ingredients. We are ready to make salsa. This is a fun thing to make. If you haven't made salsa at home, you are not living. I gotta tell you, this is a wonderful thing to just throw together when you're feeling like you want some salsa. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money to make it. It's real simple here. We are just gonna use a very simple recipe that just is 5 ingredients. And it looks like the only thing I'm missing here are my cut chili peppers. Let me grab a stack of those. Okay, great. Now, this is still frying, so while that's frying, I'm actually going to go ahead and break this basin for us real quick here, because that had some water left in it. A good way to dry out your basin is to break it. That doesn't work as well in the real life, but it'll work for us. And we just need to throw in all of these ingredients here. And just like this should start mixing up, because salsa doesn't require heat. Well, it's got enough heat with the chili peppers, honestly. We don't need to add additional heat to it. So there you can see it is making up all of our salsa right there. And I believe the last of our tortilla chips have now fried as well. Yes, they have. So in just a minute, that salsa should be done and we can pull it out of our machine and we'll be ready to complete the next quest. Okay, so our salsa is now done, and I believe with any luck, we now have chips and salsa done. We do, so now we can combine those real quick and we're going to make our chips and salsa. Wonderful. Another quest done and dusted. Let's go over here to our chips and salsa recipe. Where's that at? It's one of these appetizers in here somewhere. Here we go. Chips and salsa. Perfect. All right. Still appetizer prices a little bit higher than my local area restaurant where I usually buy them at, but I think that'll totally do just fine. Okay. Excellent. So chips and salsa now done. Next thing on our summer list here is going to be chicken tenders meal, which means we need to make more fries. So let's grab our other stack of fries out of here. We're going to throw these into our fryer and we need to light that back up, get that churning. There we go. Okay, so that'll give us some French fries here. And then the chicken, we actually also make from tofu slices. So let's go ahead and grab up our chili powder, more of our cornstarch, and I'm actually gonna get more cornstarch going while we are waiting. Wonderful. And if I remember correctly, not the fried fish, not the fish and chips. There we go. The fried chicken, we want breaded chicken, which is gonna use tofu slices. So that with our chili powder should make a lovely bit of that. So let's put all of these in here. Actually, we are missing our wheat flour. That's the other thing we need here. It's 4 ingredients to that recipe: cornstarch, wheat flour, chili powder, and our tofu slices. There we go. And now we have breaded tofu chicken. Tofu chicken, whatever it is. Anyways, not real chicken, fake chicken. And now we just need to wait for our potatoes to finish. Once the potatoes are done, we will throw our chicken in there. I also want to note, while I was waiting for the rest of our salsa to finish mixing, I did run over to our seed oil production facility and top up our seed oil drawer. So we have plenty to cook with as we go. So we are good on the seed oil front now. Now it's just a waiting game. All right, fries are done. So let's go ahead and drop in our chicken, and that can get going as well. All right, and it looks like we now have finished off our fries and our fried chicken, and now we can do a chicken tendies meal just like that. Perfect. And that is a good value for our money. That completes this summer quest here, and now we can also sell that in the shop just like this. 11 copper coins. That's a pretty good deal. That is a meal deal if I've ever seen one, although it really should come with a drink if I'm being too pedantic about this. All right, on to the last fried food quest for tonight. It's going to be the nachos that we need to make. So I've made up a little bit more salsa while we have been waiting and working on everything else. There is our salsa. We need to fry up another set of tortilla pieces. So let me throw these in here and let's go ahead and get this heated up. There we go. That's going to start cooking up for us. Now let's just grab the rest of the ingredients while we're waiting. We're going to need some black beans, some onion, and some avocado. So onions we've got cut up there. Avocado we've got cut up there, and that seems to be the last of both of those. So we need to go to our farm and get some more out of the field there. And then black beans I still had left over. So it's those 4 ingredients there. And we just need those tortilla pieces and we will be done. Now you can also make these in a deployer system if you want by adding them on top of the tortilla chips. That is another opportunity for us. We don't really need to set this up at this point. We're going to need that in the near future for other recipes, but I'm not going to worry about it just for this because we can just make these in our hand as soon as we have all the tortilla chips. All right, tortilla chips are now done. Let's go ahead and head over to our crafting grid and get this put together. 5 items, there we go. Nachos are now done, and that completes the nachos quest. Let's just go ahead and sell off our nachos in our shop all the way over here. There we go, and we get 7 coins for our trouble. And with that, we've now made even more progress through the summer quest line. We only have 2 more sets of quests left, 10 other recipes to make in total, and so pretty soon here we're going to completely finish with summer and on to fall. But for now, that's the end of this episode. Thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here then. Bye, friends!